Welcome to the world of science fiction Neon's Alien. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story from Neon's Alien universe. The cargo ship floated silently near a dying red star. It was old, rusty, and forgotten by most traders. Inside, the only sound was the soft humming of broken machines. Human engineer Callan walked down the narrow hallway. His boots made dull thuds on the metal floor. He was alone except for his dog Boro, a large gray-furred beast with kind eyes and sharp ears. Callan had taken this job to transport old supplies. Nothing dangerous, just junk and scrap metal, or so he thought. But something felt wrong today. Boro stopped suddenly. His ears twitched. He growled low. Callan looked at him. "What is it, boy?" The dog growled again and walked toward the cargo hold. Callan followed, confused. The cargo had already been checked. No heat signs, no movement. Everything was supposed to be safe. They reached the big steel door. It creaked as Callan opened it. Inside, the hold was dark and cold. The crates were stacked high, some broken, others sealed. Then, a sound. A whimper, very soft, like a frightened child. Callan froze. Boro growled louder now, but didn't move forward. Another sound, rustling, came from behind a tall crate. Callan grabbed his flashlight and stepped closer. "Hello?" he called. "Is someone there?" No answer, just silence. He walked around the crate slowly and stopped. There, huddled in a corner behind a pile of scrap, was a young alien girl. Her skin was pale blue with faint glowing lines across her arms. She was thin, dirty, and her big eyes stared at Callan in pure fear. She was trembling. Her small hands clutched a torn blanket. She looked no older than 10 in human years, but clearly not human. Her breathing quickened as Boro growled again and took a step forward. Callan quickly raised his hand. "Hey, easy. Don't worry," he said softly, turning to the girl. "He won't bite." The girl didn't move. Her whole body was shaking. Callan knelt down slowly and placed his flashlight on the floor, pointing it away from her eyes. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a protein bar. "I'm not here to hurt. You? Are you hungry?" The girl blinked once. Her eyes flicked between Callan's face and the food. She didn't speak. Not a word. But her eyes, those glowing purple eyes, were full of fear. Boro sat down and tilted his head. He stopped growling and slowly lowered himself to the floor. That seemed to help. The girl moved, just a little. She didn't take the food, but she didn't run either. Callan carefully placed the bar in front of her, then sat back against a crate. "I'm Callan. This is Boro. We don't hurt people," he said quietly. "You can stay as long as you like." Still, no reply, but she stared at him, eyes wide. Callan looked around. This crate wasn't listed on the manifest. It wasn't supposed to be here. He pulled out his datapad and scanned the container. Error. Item not registered contents. Unknown. Tag. Asset. R47F. Class D Biogroup. Origin. Classified. Callan's eyes narrowed. Asset? What the hell? He looked at the girl again. Her wrists had faint marks, like she had been chained. Her blanket was torn from the inside. She hadn't just gotten lost, she had escaped. Suddenly, a soft beep came from Callan's scanner. The moment it beeped, the girl gasped and backed into the corner, eyes wild with panic. Her glowing skin flashed brighter. For a second, Callan quickly shut off the device. Hey, it's okay. No alarms. No one's coming," he said, trying to calm her. But she was breathing fast, her chest rising and falling like she couldn't get air. Then, she whispered something. So soft, he almost didn't hear it. "Hunter." Callan blinked. "What did you say?" She looked up, her eyes full of silent terror. "Hunter, coming." Then she fainted. Callan rushed forward and caught her gently before she hit the floor. She was light. Too light. Her body felt weak. Fragile. He checked. Her pulse. It was steady but slow. He picked her up carefully and looked at Boro. Let's take her to the medbay. Boro barked once and turned to lead the way. As Callan carried the alien girl through the cold halls, one thought burned in his mind. Who is she running from? And more importantly, why did they send her here? The alien girl lay unconscious on the medbay bed. Soft lights blinked above her, scanning her body. Callan watched quietly, his arms crossed and jaw tight. She had bruises. Small cuts, faint burns on her feet. Her body told a story, even if her mouth stayed silent. Boro sat beside the bed watching her. The dog's ears twitched every time the girl shifted. She said, "Hunter coming." Callan muttered, "Who's hunting her?" The medical system finished its scan. Species: unregistered language, incompatible neural pattern, hybrid class D, biotag, detected, removed forcibly. Callan stared at the results. Hybrid, he whispered. She was made? That word hit hard. Not born, made. An hour later, the girl opened her eyes, slowly, carefully. She blinked at the bright ceiling, then looked around. When her eyes met Boro's, she tensed, but didn't scream. The dog tilted his head, staying still. Then she saw Callan. He raised both hands slowly and spoke gently. "You're safe here. Nobody's going to hurt you." She sat up fast, shaking. Callan didn't move closer. He pointed to a small table near her. On it sat a warm cup of broth, a blanket, and a pen with a paper pad. She looked at it, confused. "I thought maybe you can draw pictures if you can't talk." She stared at him for a long moment, then reached for the pen. Her fingers were thin but moved fast. She didn't draw a picture. She wrote a symbol, a circle with 3 sharp lines slashed across it. Callan tilted his head. "What's that?" She pointed to herself, then drew it again. It wasn't just a symbol. It was her name, or whatever they used to call her. He sat down across the room, still keeping distance. "That's your name? The slashes?" She nodded once. He looked at the symbol again. "I can't call you that forever. Do you mind if I call you Lena?" The girl blinked, surprised. Her eyes softened just a little. Then she nodded. "Lena," he said, smiling. For the next few hours, Callan let her explore the med bay. She stayed close to the walls, didn't touch anything. But she watched everything. His tools, the screens, even the blinking lights on the scanner. She was learning. Fast. That night, Callan gave her a small sleeping room near his own. He placed clean clothes, water, and food inside. She didn't speak a word, but she nodded in thanks. He left her alone. But around midnight, a sound woke him. A scream. High-pitched, terrified. He jumped out of bed and ran to Lena's room. She was on the floor, curled up, shaking violently. Her hands covered her ears and her eyes were wide with terror. "Lena!" She didn't answer. He dropped to his knees beside her, unsure what to do. Then Boro entered the room. He walked forward, slowly, carefully. The dog lay beside her and placed his head gently on her lap. Lena froze. Then, slowly, she relaxed. Her hands dropped. Her shaking stopped. She placed a trembling hand on Boro's head, and for the first time she smiled. Just a little. The next morning, something strange happened. Callan showed her his repair terminal. It was full of broken code and blinking red error messages. He turned away to fix a wire, and when he looked back, she was standing in front of the screen. Her hand hovered above it. Then, the errors disappeared. "What did you do?" he asked. Lena stepped back, looking nervous. The system showed a new message. Memory sector rebalanced, data flow restored. Only high-level engineers could do that. Callan stared at her. "How did you know how to fix it?" She didn't answer. She looked at the floor, but Callan saw it now. She wasn't just smart. She had programmed knowledge. Later that day, the ship's long-range scanner beeped. A signal, weak, faint, almost hidden. Callan ran to the console. It was a tracking ping. Someone was trying to locate them, and worse, they were using Lena's biotag code. His eyes narrowed. Whoever made you, they want you back. Lena stood in the doorway watching him. He didn't speak. Instead, he walked to her, knelt down, and gently placed his hand on her shoulder. They won't get you. Not while I'm here. Her eyes filled with water. Then she reached for the paper pad again. She drew 2 symbols this time, her old name, the slash-marked circle, and a tiny drawing of Boro, the dog. She smiled again. Callan smiled too. But far away, in the deep cold of space, a black ship changed direction. A voice echoed inside it. Target reacquired, prepare extraction. A cold silence filled the bridge of Callan's ship. The signal was still flashing, faint but constant. Someone out there was tracking Lena, and now they were getting closer. Callan stared at the blinking light on his console. This isn't random, he whispered. They waited, watched, and now they're moving. Behind him, Lena stood quiet. Her arms hugged her chest. Her eyes were locked on the scanner screen. She knew what it meant. They had found her. Again. Boro let out a low growl, sensing the tension in the air. Callan acted fast. He ran a diagnostic on the ship's position. A black mark blinked at the edge of the map, an unidentified vessel slowly drifting in their direction. No ID, no communication, no signal handshake, just silence. He tried hailing them. This is cargo vessel Estrella 9. Identify yourself. No. Response. Then a strange reply flickered across the screen. Return the specimen, do not resist. Callan's blood ran cold. He turned toward Lena, who was still standing behind him, now trembling slightly. They're calling you a specimen, he said quietly. She didn't speak, but a single tear slid down her cheek. He took her hand gently. You're not a specimen. You're not property. Not to me. Lena blinked, surprised by his words. For someone raised in darkness, those words were a first light. Suddenly, a sharp alarm rang out. Warning. Outer sensors triggered. Unauthorized vessel approaching. Distance, 0.8 clicks. Callan rushed to the window. Out in the black, he saw it. A dark, metallic ship. No lights, no name, no visible engine glow. It hovered, like a dead insect, slowly creeping toward them. But then, the outer hull of that ship began to move. Panels shifting, legs unfolding, as if the entire ship was alive. Lena gasped and backed away. She began to whisper in her language, fast, frightened, words that didn't translate. Lena, what is it? Callan asked. She turned, grabbed a piece of chalk from the wall, and drew a fast symbol on the floor. It looked like a twisted face, with too many eyes. Callan stared. That's what's coming. She nodded once, then drew another symbol. A cage. They kept you locked up. She nodded again. Suddenly the ship shook. Boom. A pulse had been fired. The enemy ship was trying to knock down their shields. Hold on, Callan yelled, rushing to the controls. He activated a defensive field, but his small cargo ship was not made for battle. The shield could only take a few hits. Lena, go to the storage bay, hide under the floor, there's a false panel, go now. But she didn't move. Instead, she reached for a nearby data port, touched it, and the lights across the ship shifted. Callan blinked. What are you doing? Lena's eyes glowed faintly. Her hands moved across the interface like she had done this 1,000 times. Suddenly, the console showed a message. Advanced defense mode enabled. System override accepted. Unknown command source organic hybrid level 7. Callan stepped back in shock. You activated defense mode? She didn't answer, but her eyes said it all. She had been trained for this, not just as a slave. as a living weapon. The ship shook again, but this time, the outer shields didn't break. Instead, turrets emerged from hidden panels. Red lasers charged. The enemy ship paused, and for the first time, it backed away slightly. They weren't expecting this, Callan said, amazed. They thought we'd be helpless. Lena sat down slowly, exhausted. The energy she used to control the ship had drained her. Callan knelt beside her. You saved us. Again. She opened her mouth, and for the first time, she spoke a full human sentence. I don't want to go back. Callan nodded, his voice firm. You won't. But outside, the enemy ship wasn't done. A hatch opened. Something large dropped from it. Silent, heavy, and full of hate. A four-legged machine creature, black as shadow, landed on Callan's hull. It began to crawl toward them. The creature outside was not just a machine, it was something worse. It moved across the ship's hull like a spider, sharp legs, glowing red sensors, and a mouth that looked like it could rip steel apart. Its body pulsed with living energy. It wasn't here to fight. It was here to capture. Inside the ship, alarms flashed red. The walls groaned under pressure. But inside the quiet medbay, Lena sat with her back against the wall, breathing slowly. Her hands were cut. Her skin dimmed. The effort to stop the last attack had drained her. Callan rushed in. It's crawling toward us. Lena didn't move. She stared down at the name she had scratched into the floor earlier. Just a simple line. A symbol she had carried her whole life. A symbol they gave her, not a name, a code, a tag, a cage. Callan knelt beside her. You're stronger than them, you're not their weapon. She looked at him, eyes tired. I don't know who I am, she whispered. Callan thought for a moment. Then let's find out. Right now. He walked to the console and pulled up the name list from Earth Archives. Let's pick a name, he said. She tilted her head. Name. A real one, he said. A name means you're not property. You're a person. You choose it. It becomes yours. Forever. She stood up slowly and walked to the screen. Callan showed her names, one by one. Some human, some alien, some old, some soft. She didn't react. Until... Lena. She froze. Callan noticed. You like that one? She reached out, touched the name, and then placed her hand on her own chest. Lena. He smiled. Then it's yours. Suddenly, boom, the ship shook hard. The creature had reached the outer airlock. Metal bent. Sparks flew. Callan looked at her. Time to run. But she shook her head. No. What do you mean? She walked toward the center of the ship, toward the emergency pod bay. Callan followed, confused. You said you didn't want to go back? She turned. Her eyes glowed faintly again. I'm not going back. I'm going to finish it. Lena stood before the pod controls. Her hands danced over the screen, fast, typing commands in a strange language. Wait, Callan said. What are you doing? The creature outside. It listens to me. It was made for me. Callan's eyes widened. You're going to control it? She nodded. If I reach its mind, I can break the bond. I can make it free. You mean, like how you want to be free? She paused, then nodded again. Outside, the creature tore open the last layer of the hull. Alarms screamed, pressure levels dropped, but before it could enter, the door stopped. Something invisible pulled the creature backward. It screamed, but not from pain, from confusion. Lena had touched its mind. Inside the ship, Lena's body floated gently into the air. Her hands glowed. She whispered words Callan couldn't understand. Her voice echoed through the walls like song and sorrow combined. Suddenly, the creature froze. It stood still. Then it turned its head, away from the ship, and leaped off into space. The enemy ship behind it dimmed, lost its target. Its engines flared and then blinked out. Gone. Just like that. Lena collapsed to the floor. Callan caught her. "Are you okay?" She looked up at him and whispered, "Lena is free." Later, as the ship floated safely through deep space again, Callan made a small change to the ship's logs. Crew member Lena, status protected, family, human-alien hybrid. He smiled and looked over at her sleeping form. Once she had been nameless. A ghost in a cage. Now, she had a name. She had a voice. And she had a choice. But far away, on a cold, black world, an eye opened. Not one from a ship, not a soldier, a master, and it whispered, "She has begun. We will reclaim what we made." Space was calm again, but Lena wasn't. She stood alone in the medbay, facing the full-body scanner. The lights above her blinked slowly, casting soft shadows across her face. Her new name, Lena, felt warm in her mind. But something inside her still felt broken. There were holes in her memory, places where thoughts vanished like smoke. Who had made her? Why was she trained to control monsters? What else did they put inside her? She had to know. Callan entered carrying a small device. "I've been upgrading the scanner," he said. "It doesn't just read the body now, it can map buried memories." Lena turned, eyes wide. "I thought memories live in the brain." "They do," he said. "But when someone's mind is altered, memories can get locked, hidden behind pain or code." Lena hesitated. "It might hurt?" "Maybe," Callan said. "But only if you're ready." She stepped forward. "I want to remember." She lay down in the scanner pod. The machine clicked softly. Thin blue lights moved over her head. Callan watched the screen as patterns appeared. Some were clear, others blocked by black static. Then, suddenly, a spark. The screen flashed red. Memory fragment unlocked. Project nameless. Subject 47. The ship's lights flickered. Lena's eyes fluttered shut. But she wasn't asleep. She was inside the memory. She stood in a cold, white room. The walls were smooth and bright, glowing with cold light. Other children, quiet, blue-skinned like her, stood in a line. No names, only numbers. A tall figure walked in. A human in black armor, cold eyes, a voice like metal. "Which of you can calm the beast?" A door opened. A massive creature stepped in, huge, dark, growling. The children screamed and ran, but one stayed. Her. She reached out, and the beast, just like Boro, calmed. The man wrote on his tablet. Subject 47F, stable, assigned to bioweapon control unit. The vision shifted. Now she saw fire, a planet burning, cities falling. Her ship was fleeing. The lab had been attacked. A voice screamed in her mind. Do not let her fall into human hands. She was thrown into a pod, locked in a crate, floating, sleeping, until Callan opened the door. The scanner beeped loudly. Lena opened her eyes, tears falling quietly. I remember everything, she whispered. Callan helped her sit up. What did they do to you? They raised me to command. Monsters, she said. Not to love, not to speak, just control. But you're more than that now, he said softly. Lena nodded. They didn't expect one thing. What? She looked up, and for the first time, she smiled. You. Later, Lena sat by herself, drawing on the wall with colored wires. She drew the creature she tamed. She drew Callan, and finally, she drew herself. Not as a subject, but a person. But just as she finished, the ship's long-range signal blinked again. Callan checked the console. His face turned pale. A message, hidden in alien code, was playing. To the one who tamed the beast, we see you now, and we are coming. He turned to Lena. She was already standing there. Her eyes didn't look afraid, just ready. Lena, Callan said slowly, They know who you are now. They know you've awakened. She nodded. Then it's time I show them who I've become. The warning message still echoed through the ship. To the one who tamed the beast, we see you now, and we are coming. Callan stared at the console. His fingers tightened on the edge of the metal panel. This wasn't just about capturing you, was it? He asked. Lena stood silently beside him. Her glowing eyes didn't blink. Her face showed no fear, but something deeper. Understanding. No, she said quietly. They don't want me back. They want me to finish what they started. Suddenly the ship shook. Not from a weapon, but from impact. Callan looked out the main window. A creature had been dropped onto the outer hull, twice the size of a shuttle covered in black armor, glowing veins and strange cables connecting it to something in space. It wasn't alive. It wasn't dead. It was hers. Lena backed. Away slowly, I know that one, she whispered. We were bonded before I escaped, but I never fully controlled it. It was unstable. Boro barked once, sharp, alert. The creature outside roared, deep and low. The hull groaned under its weight. The ship's AI beeped. External pressure. Rising. Hull breach imminent. Callan rushed to the emergency weapons console. I can blast it off the ship. Lena stopped him with a raised hand. No. If you attack it, it will rage. So what do we do? She looked him in the eyes. I have to go outside. What? You'll die out there. She shook her head. I was made to walk with monsters. If I reach its mind, I can wake its real self. The airlock hissed open. Lena stepped onto the platform slowly, wearing a light shield suit. The beast stood tall now, towering over the outer deck, claws digging into the steel. It turned its head toward her. Its red eyes blinked, then flashed gold for a second. Recognition. It remembered her. She raised both hands and stepped closer. Not enemy, she whispered. The beast twitched. Its claws scraped the floor, then it charged. Callan watched from inside, heart pounding. His hand hovered over the emergency turret button. But Lena didn't run. Instead, she stood still, eyes glowing, body steady. As the beast neared her, she extended, her arms wide, and shouted in a strange language, an old code from her memories. The creature skidded to a stop, just inches away. Its chest glowed, its breath slowed. It lowered its head and gently touched her forehead with its own. Bond complete. Inside, the ship's systems reacted. Beast Class Unit 7 now recognized as ally. Neural signature, Lena. Authority, accepted. The beast backed away, calm now, like a dog obeying its master. Lena placed her hand on its armored side and whispered, You don't have to be their tool. Not anymore. For the first time, the beast purred. Back inside, Callan opened the airlock door and ran to her. She stepped in, her skin pale, legs shaking. He caught her before she fell. Are you crazy? He said, half laughing, half angry. You bonded with a death machine. She smiled faintly. No, I set it free. Later, Lena stood in front of the window, watching the creature float beside. The ship like a guardian, she whispered. They called it number 7, but I'll name it Row. Row? Callan asked. It means broken chain in the old code. But far above them in the cold void, a ship watched. Inside, a tall armored figure stepped from the shadows. Its eyes burned red. She has awakened the Row unit, it said, and remembered who she is. Another voice replied. Then it is time to release the other prototypes. The stars outside the ship blinked like silent watchers. Lena stood in the observation room, hands behind her back, her glowing eyes fixed on the massive beast, Row, floating calmly in the distance like a silent shield. But her thoughts were far away. She had stopped a monster, tamed a creature meant only for war, given it a name. But something still burned inside her. A question. Why did she run in the first place? Not just to escape, not just to be free. There had always been another reason. Callan walked in quietly, holding a datapad. Signal from the black ship origin, he said. Encrypted, hidden in deep code, took hours to crack. He handed it to her. Lena scanned the file and stopped breathing. On the screen was a simple line. Project Eve 47. In case of failure, activate reproduction code and terminate emotional core. Lena stepped back. No, she whispered. That wasn't supposed to be active yet. Callan looked confused. What does it mean? She turned to him slowly. I wasn't just made to control beasts, she said. I was made to carry something. Carry what? She touched her chest where her skin faintly glowed. A code. A seed. For the next generation of mind-linked weapons. Callan's face fell. You mean, you're a breeder? Lena nodded, tears forming. Yes. But when I saw the last beast die, one they said I loved, I broke something inside. I rejected the command. That's why you ran. I wasn't running for freedom, she whispered. I was running from becoming a tool to create more monsters. Silence. Then Callan stepped forward. You're not a tool, he said. You chose to run. You chose to save Ro. You chose a name. She looked at him with sad eyes. I thought, you might throw me out if you knew the truth. I would never, Callan said, because you, not the lab, not their code, you made yourself real. Suddenly the ship's AI beeped. Incoming signal, broadcast across all frequencies. They turned to the console. A hologram flickered to life. A tall figure in golden armor stood, face hidden behind a helmet. His voice was deep, echoing with cold command. To Subject Eve 47, your awakening was expected, but bonding with the Ro unit was not. Return to us, or we will activate the remaining prototypes. Lena stared at the image. Then she stepped forward. No, she said calmly. You taught me to be a voice for monsters. Now I speak for myself. The figure replied. You were made for war. You don't get to choose peace. Lena's eyes glowed brighter. Then you failed, because I do. She raised her hand and transmitted a signal of her own. One code, simple, direct. To all hidden units, you are free. Across the stars, something began to shift. Beasts in cages paused, eyes once glowing red, turned calm. Ships programmed, for violence went dark. The code, her code, spread like light. The golden armored figure growled. You've ruined everything. Callan stepped forward beside her. No. She fixed it. The signal ended. The ship was quiet again. But the galaxy, it had just changed. Lena stood in the hallway staring at her reflection in the dark glass. For the first time, she didn't see a lab subject. She saw someone. Later, as the ship floated past a glowing nebula, Callan handed her something. A metal tag. Not a barcode. Not a number, just one word. Lena. She smiled and took his hand. He looked at her and asked gently, Why did you really save me back then? Why not run the moment I opened that crate? She looked at him with soft, glowing eyes. I was trained to sense danger, she said. But when I saw you, she paused. I felt something I had no file for. No program. What? Kindness. And in a galaxy built by war, weapons, and fear, that one thing had changed everything.